Do you need to become fluent, but you don't have a lot of time?
I just don't have the time.
Today, you'll learn the lazy way to become fluent. And trust me, this works.
That's exactly what I need. Thank you.
Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. The lazy way is to improve all areas of your English at the same time. So it's actually the smart way. And that's what we'll do right now. I'll say a sentence 3 times and you need to write what you hear in the comments. After, I'll explain what I said and how you can use it correctly. This means you'll improve your listening, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and speaking at the same time. The lazy way, the smart way. Here we go. I'll say it 3 times. They've been bickering all day. They've been bickering all day. They've been bickering all day. Did you get this one? I said they've been bickering all day. Let's talk about the pronunciation changes. Notice I have they've. This is a contraction. They have, they've. Native speakers use contractions in spoken English almost 100% of the time, so you need to be very comfortable hearing the contraction because it affects the grammar of the sentence. You need to have they have been bickering because that shows the grammar, and the grammar is the present perfect continuous. So if you didn't have that, it would be grammatically incorrect. They've been bickering all day. Now notice I said been, a very unstressed been. This is how we pronounce the past participle of the verb be, been, in American English. I don't speak British English, but I believe in British English they pronounce it more stressed, been, but in American English we don't do that. We just say been. They've been bickering all day. Now, to understand fast English outside of the classroom, you need to hear the individual words, but you also have to understand the meaning of the words. So let's talk about the verb to bicker. This is when you argue about things that are not important. The concept of bickering is extremely common and everyone does it, and we usually do it with people we spend the most time with, our family, our spouses, husbands and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, our close friends, our coworkers that we spend a lot of time with. Anytime you spend a lot of time with someone, it's common that you'll bicker. But it's different from fighting, because when you're fighting with someone, usually there's a strong emotion involved, but when you bicker, you don't really have that emotion. It's less serious because the things you're arguing about, fighting about, are not actually important. Like I said, this can be very common in the workplace when you spend a lot of time with your coworkers. So maybe you're in a meeting and you've been discussing an issue for hours with your coworkers. But people start bickering. They start arguing about things that aren't important. You could say, we didn't get anything done today because we bickered all meeting.
We argue? We bicker. Yeah, we bicker.
Either. Yeah, well, we were bickering because they were bickering.
Mark, your kids are bickering.
Let's try this again with another listening exercise. I'll say it 3 times. That street's pretty sketchy. That street's pretty sketchy. That street's pretty sketchy. How'd you do with this one? I said, that street's pretty sketchy. Did you hear that streets, the S? Well, that is the verb to be in a contraction form. The street is the streets. The street's pretty sketchy. Again, it's extremely important that you hear these contractions for grammar, because we need the verb to be grammatically. The sentence would sound very awkward if you didn't have it because it would be grammatically incorrect. That street's pretty sketchy. Sketchy, 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 sketchy. Let's talk about to be sketchy. That street is our verb to be sketchy. This is used to say that something is not completely safe. So by saying that street's pretty sketchy, I am saying that street doesn't look completely safe. I don't think that street is safe. So I'm saying we shouldn't go down that street. We should avoid that street. Now, why would I say this street is sketchy? This is an adjective that native speakers use a lot. If I say a street's sketchy, it's most likely because it's dark or lacks lighting. There aren't a lot of people around. There's broken glass or broken windows. Or there are a lot of abandoned buildings on that street. It could be all of those reasons, or it could be just one of those reasons for me to say that street doesn't look safe. That street's pretty sketchy. I could say, let's take another street. This one looks sketchy. So I can also use the verb look sketchy, but I have to conjugate it. This street looks sketchy. Or let's say your friend or your husband or your wife came to you and said, hey, I heard this amazing business proposal today. All we need to do is invest $1,000 and we're guaranteed $100,000. And you could say, that sounds sketchy. So notice here the verb is to sound sketchy. And you're saying the idea, the plan, the business proposal doesn't sound completely safe. We also use this to describe people. He's a sketchy guy, or he's sketchy, she's sketchy. In this case, you're saying the person isn't safe, which means you can't trust the person. So with people, it's a way of saying, I don't think I can trust him. She's sketchy, he's sketchy.
Seems a little sketchy.
You're kind of sketchy.
Laundry to some sketchy laundromat?
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Let's try another listening exercise. I'll say it 3 times. You must have seen it. You must have seen it. You must have seen it. Did you get this one? You must have seen it. But notice I didn't actually say have. I reduced that entirely to just You musta. You musta. I could also reduce it to more of an of sound, which is very commonly done by native speakers. You must have. You must have. You must have seen it. Notice for seen it, I use that that N sound to connect the 2 words together. Seen it, seen it, seen it. So you hear a N in front of it. It sounds like knit. But if you say those 2 words together, it blends together. Seen it, seen it. You must have seen it. Now let's talk about the grammar of this. Must is a modal verb, and grammatically you need must plus base verb, which is the verb without to. So grammatically, you need must have. In written English, you must use must have seen it, because that's grammatically correct. But in spoken English, it will sound like must a or must of. But in written English, if you wrote you must a or of, it would be incorrect grammatically. So just remember what I'm explaining is for spoken English.
You must have seen it 200 times.
You must have seen it too, Clark.
You must have seen them here.
Let's try this one more time. I'll say it 3 times. What's the ETA? What's the ETA? What's the ETA? I said, what's the ETA? Of course, we have what's. That's a contraction of what is. What's the. Now, because ETA, it begins with a vowel sound, E, I could say either the or the, because we do a more stressed the when the next word starts in a vowel, but this isn't a rule that native speakers follow all the time. But if I did a more stressed E in the, it would really blend together with ETA, the TA, and it would almost sound like it's just one word, the TA, because I wouldn't really repeat the E on ETA, the TA. I believe in my example when I did the listening test, I think the first time I did it more of the ETA, and the second time I did it more of the ETA, and the sounds blended together. Let's listen to that again and see what I did. What's the ETA? What's the ETA? What's the ETA? Now, ultimately, either way that you pronounce it, the ETA or the ETA, is fine. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what's ETA? This stands for estimated time of arrival. So your ETA, the ETA, or someone, something's ETA is the estimated time of arrival for that someone or something, when it's expected to arrive. So let's say we're talking about a project and your boss wants to know when this project will arrive in his inbox or on his desk. He could say, what's the ETA? And he could just say the if it's obvious you're talking about the project. He could say, what's your ETA? Because you're the one submitting the project. Or he could say, what's the project's ETA? So the ETA belongs to the project, so you need that possessive. What's the project's ETA? And they all have the same meaning. We commonly use this with friends or coworkers, family members, to let them know when we're going to arrive. So let's say you were supposed to be at your family's house at 7 o'clock for dinner, but you're running late. You could send them a text message and say, running late. Google says my ETA is 6:42 or 15 minutes. Now, Google says, because when you put something in a GPS, Google will tell you, or whatever you use, Google will tell you when you're expected to arrive. That's your ETA.
What's their ETA?
Okay, ETA?
ETA, 11 minutes.
Now let's do an imitation exercise so you can practice your pronunciation as well. So I'm going to say each sentence again, and then I want you to repeat the sentence out loud and try to imitate my pronunciation as closely as possible. And I'll say each sentence 3 times. Let's do that right now. They've been bickering all day. They've been bickering all day. They've been bickering all day. That street's pretty sketchy. That street's pretty sketchy. That street's pretty sketchy. You must have seen it. You must have seen it. You must have seen it. What's the ETA? What's the ETA? What's the ETA? Amazing job. Now remember, we're using the lazy way, the smart way, to become fluent. And the lazy way is to improve all areas of your English at the same time. Let's do that by reading a news article together. First, let's read the headline. Coffee could be more than a morning pick-me-up, according to new research. Now let's start with this word right here, because you're probably looking at this and wondering, what is this or what does it mean? Well, first of all, let's identify what part of speech this is. So we have a morning pick-me-up. So this word functions as a noun, a pick-me-up. Morning tells you what type of pick-me-up. A pick-me-up is something, usually food or drink, in this case coffee, something that boosts your energy or mood. Boost, of course, means increases or improves. Increases your energy, improves your mood. So this woman, she looks a little tired. She looks like she could use a pick-me-up. A pick-me-up. Now this is the noun form. We commonly use this as a verb. So let's review the sentence where we could change the noun to a verb. Coffee could do more than pick you up. So coffee can pick you up, boost your mood or energy, and do other things. So that's the do more than pick you up. So we use the verb be with a noun because it's a state, but do with the verb because it's an action. So first thing in the morning, this tired woman could say, I need a pick-me-up. Oh, I need a pick-me-up. So in this case, is it a noun or a verb? Well, you see this article here, so that tells you it's a noun, and our verb is need. You need something. You need a noun. I need a pick-me-up. Does that describe you first thing in the morning? Do you think to yourself, I need a pick-me-up, something to boost your energy or mood? If that describes you, put that's me in the comments. And don't worry about taking these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Let's continue. A morning cup of coffee may do more than just perk you up. Notice here, coffee could do more than pick you up, but they just changed the word pick you up to perk you up. To perk one up means to make you feel more alert or energetic. So it has a very similar meaning to pick you up. Pick you up also includes your mood, whereas perk you up is really just about your energy and alertness. But we don't use it as a noun. So you can say, I need a perk me up. It does not exist in English, even though you can say, I need a pick-me-up, and it sounds very natural and common. So don't use this as a noun. You can use it as a verb. And there's also an adjective that's derived from the verb, which is perky. Have you heard this? You're very perky today. You could say this to your friends, your coworker, your spouse. You're very perky today. That means lively and full of positive energy, because it's a positive thing. You're very perky today. Let's continue. Moderate amounts of caffeine intake. Here, caffeine intake, you can replace the word intake with consumption. So caffeine consumption is how much caffeine you consume. So the verb is consume, the noun is consumption. So if you wanted to use the verb for intake, it would be how much caffeine you take in, which would be your caffeine intake. I think that consumption would be the more commonly and easily understood word choice. So I wrote that here for you. And what about you? How would you describe your caffeine intake, your caffeine consumption? Is it low, moderate, which means medium, not too low, not too high, or is it high, low, moderate, or high? So you can share that or put how many cups you consume. How many cups you drink would be the everyday way of saying that. How many cups you drink per day or per morning. Feel free to share. As for me, if you're curious, it's one, only one in the morning. And then I switch to tea, which I'm drinking right now. Moderate amounts of caffeine intake, consumption, about 3 cups of coffee or tea a day. So notice they define what they consider to be a medium amount of coffee consumption, which is 3 cups. Does that align with your definition? Is that what you would view a medium amount to be? And then based on that, how would you rate yours? Low, medium, or high? I guess mine would be low or very low. So moderate amounts of caffeine consumption intake were associated with a lower risk of developing cardiometabolic multimorbidity. This is a mouthful. Have you heard someone say that before to describe something as a mouthful? Well, that means it's difficult to say, even for a native speaker. So if you are looking at this and you're thinking, what? How would I say that? Don't worry, it's difficult for me. And it would be difficult for any native speaker who is not a subject matter expert, who is not a doctor or a nutritionist or someone who would regularly use this word, these 2 words, because I promise you, I have never said them before in my life, and I don't truly understand what they mean. So we could describe this as a mouthful. Now, I'll just teach you an easy trick of how I would approach pronouncing this, because yes, it's difficult for me. What I would do is I would look for the individual words first. So I understand multi. Now here, I didn't understand this full word at first, but I understood this, morbid, and I know how to say it. And then I think, okay, well, how would I add this sound, itty, morbidity? And then I have to think about how these sounds would go together. And then I can add the next one. Now, I listened to the audio dictionary pronunciation of this to make sure my pronunciation was correct. I'm only sharing this so you have some strategies to improve your pronunciation. You do not need to add this to your speech or practice the pronunciation of this because you will not use this in your speech. So let's continue. And the article does talk about what this is and why it's important. Said the study's lead author. Cardiometabolic multimorbidity, or CM, now we can simply refer to it as CM. And this is what native speakers do when something is a mouthful, difficult to say, we turn it into an acronym, and then now I only have to say CM. So they're going to tell us what this is because the average person, myself included, does not know what this is. Is the coexistence, so the existence of 2 things at the same time, that's coexistence. The coexistence of at least 2 cardiometabolic diseases, such as coronary heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Okay, so CM is the existence of 2 diseases, such as these commonly known diseases. That's all we need to know about that, and we'll call it CM going forward. Researchers analyzed data from about 180,000 people in the UK Biobank, a large biomedical database and research resource that follows people long term. So this is the definition of what the UK Biobank is, because the average person, like me, does not know what this is. And I had no idea what the UK Biobank or even a biobank in general is. So it's helpful to define it for native speakers as well. Those involved did not have CM at the outset. Okay, the outset. This means at the very beginning. So when they joined or registered for the biobank, that would be the outset. You can use this whenever there's an official start or beginning of something, such as a project. That's an easy thing that has a start and a finish. So at the outset would be at the beginning. And notice that preposition choice at the beginning, because you would actually say in the middle, but what about end? At the end, at the end. So you have a different preposition choice for in the middle. I don't know why. You just do. At the beginning, in the middle, at the end. So the project was fully funded at the outset, which means at the beginning of the project. You can use these three words as a preposition phrase and put it at the beginning. At the outset, comma, the project was fully funded. You could change this to at the end. You can even make a comparison and say it wasn't fully funded at the outset, but it was at the end, for example. So for understanding the article we're reviewing, the important thing to remember is that the people in this biobank, they did not have CM, they did not have these types of diseases when they joined the biobank at the outset. So remember that, and let's continue. The information included, so the information about the people in the biobank. The information included the participants. The participants, these are the people participating in the biobank. You participate in something, but the noun is participant, and of course, plural. It's plural here because there were 180,000 people. So it's plural. There are many participants, and the possessive mark is after the plural to show that this information belongs to the participants. The information included the participants' self-reported caffeine consumption through coffee or black or green tea. Now, if it's self-reported, it means that I tell you that I drink 1 cup of coffee per day, but you have to believe that my information is true. I could be lying to you. I could actually drink 12 cups and tell you I only drink 1 because I think it sounds better. So that is self-reported. Self-reported caffeine consumption. Oh, we already learned this. Isn't that nice? Notice they changed the word intake to consumption. They previously used intake. Now they're using consumption. It is the same thing. Self-reported caffeine, not intake, consumption, intake. Remember, that's how much caffeine they consume or they take in, but consume or consumption is the more common. Self-reported caffeine consumption through coffee or black or green tea. And the CM, remember the diseases, they developed through their primary care data, hospital records, and death certificates. So this is the information that's included on the participants who are in the biobank. And remember, they do not have these diseases when they join the biobank at the outset. But later on, because this is a long-term study, it could follow this participant for 20 years. So at the outset, they don't have a disease. But within that 20-year period of being in the biobank, they could develop a disease, a CM. The risk was reduced. So the risk of developing one of these diseases, developing a CM, the risk was reduced by 48.1% if they had 3 cups a day. Remember, they described this as moderate, a medium amount, moderate consumption, moderate intake, or 40.7% if they had 200 or 300 milligrams of caffeine daily, compared with people who didn't drink or drank less than 1 cup. So I've highlighted drink, drank, and then what's the past participle? Drink, drank, drunk. I had it here, so hopefully you knew that. Drink, drank, drunk. So let's say your friend or family member offers you a cup of coffee or cup of tea, and you want to politely decline that, you can say, oh, no, thanks. I've already drunk 3 cups today. So what verb tense is this first one? I've already drunk 3 cups today. It's the present perfect, because these cups, that's a completed past action. You've consumed them. But there's a result in the present, the result being that you no longer want more coffee. I've already drunk 3 cups today. You can absolutely use drunk in the third form. Now, it's most common to use have for native speakers. That doesn't mean you shouldn't or can't say this. You absolutely can. It's the correct choice. But native speakers generally change drunk to had. No thanks, I've already had 3 cups today. How many cups have you had today? Oh, I've already had 1. I just had 1. I want to have 1. So we generally use have, but of course you can use drink, drank, drunk. Now you can also use the verb to consume because you consume food or beverages. I think it sounds a little more formal or technical and not the most common in day-to-day speech. It wouldn't be that common in just a regular everyday situation for someone to offer you a cup of coffee and you say, no thanks, I've already consumed 3 cups today. You can, it's grammatically correct, but it sounds a little formal or a little technical. What do I mean by technical? Well, a medical doctor who's assessing your health may ask you questions about your consumption. So in that sense, it's more formal or technical. In everyday usage, drink or have, which is, in my opinion, the most common. The methodology is strong. So the methodology being how they got these results. So the methodology that the study used. The methodology is strong and the results line up with existing data. Do you know what this means here? The results line up with. This is another way of saying the results are consistent with. So notice using consistent, you need the verb to be. To be consistent, results, plural. So of course you need the third form, plural, are consistent with existing data. So if they're consistent with, if they line up with, it means they match, they go together. The methodology is strong and the results line up with, are consistent with existing data about caffeine and heart health. So the existing data they already have match the new results they have from this study. But there are still questions about the extent of the connection between caffeine and heart health. The extent of is asking, well, how much of a connection is there? Yes, they produce these results with the study, but how much of a connection is there between caffeine and heart health? So I wrote those meanings there. So again, the extent of the connection is the degree or range of the connection, the amount of the connection, how much of a connection is there. We commonly use the expression to an extent when we want to limit something. So you can say, I agree with you. If you just end there, I agree with you, that sounds like 100%. It's a fact. I agree with you. Now, if you say, I agree with you to an extent, it limits the agreement. I don't know if there's a specific number I can tell you that now means I 80% agree with you or I 50% agree with you. I don't think that exists, but it just limits it, limits the agreement. So I can only say it's less than 100%. So it might be that there's one thing that you said that I agree with, but you said 3 other things that I don't agree with. Or those numbers could be completely different. It could be 3 things I agree with, 1 thing I don't. 2 things I do, 2 things I don't. So the combination of the numbers is not known, but in some way it limits the statement. So this is a very powerful thing to say. If you say, for example, the project was a success, to be a success, the project was a success, that's a statement 100%. But then if you add on to an extent, we know that there were some parts of the project that were 100% successful, but there were other parts that were not. So it's very powerful 3 words that you can add on to a statement to change the meaning. For example, so now they're going to give an example of how there's still questions on the extent, the amount of the connection. For example, perhaps those more likely to consume these substances, and notice how I said consume is used in a more formal way. So here we're not talking about drinking coffee just every day with your friends. They're studying the consumption of coffee. They're analyzing the consumption of coffee. So in this context, although it's an everyday action, they're talking about it in a more formal or technical way. Perhaps those more likely to consume, drink, or have these substances, coffee or tea, also tend to have a healthier diet or to be more physically active. So these are why they don't know the extent of the connection. There are other things that they need to consider. I wrote that information for you, and I also noted that perhaps you can also say maybe they have the same meaning, perhaps is a little more formal. So you can think of it as the formal way of saying maybe, but that doesn't mean you should only use it in formal situations. If you say perhaps, or if you say maybe in your everyday speech, saying perhaps doesn't sound unnatural, but if you want to sound a little more formal, especially in writing, then you can choose perhaps. Although the new study should provide comfort to those who already have a coffee or tea habit, what about you? Do you have a coffee or tea habit? A habit, of course, is a routine behavior of drinking coffee or tea. I definitely have both a coffee and tea habit. What about you? So it should provide comfort. So it should make you feel good that there may be a reduced risk of developing CM, those specific diseases. It isn't necessarily a sign to start a regular caffeine routine. So if you are someone who doesn't currently drink coffee or tea, it's saying that this article alone should not be the reason why you start drinking coffee or tea, because more research needs to be done to confirm the extent of the connection, the amount of the connection. But you probably already drink coffee or tea, so that can bring you some comfort. Here it said provide comfort. You can also use bring someone comfort. Now, the to someone is already here. So you would say should bring comfort to you, should provide comfort to you. And should is our modal verb. That's why we have provide or bring in the base form, because it's modal plus base verb. And again, with comfort, they're saying make you feel good. So instead of should provide, you could say should make you feel good, make you feel better, perhaps, to match the specific language of the article. Now, if you wanted to change the word comfort, you could say should provide reassurance, should provide relief. Oh, that's a relief. Now I can drink my coffee without feeling guilty, because it may, there's a possibility, it may provide protection against certain CM, certain diseases. So now you can feel good about your coffee or tea habit. Maybe. That's the end of the article. What I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and you can focus on my pronunciation. Coffee could be more than a morning pick-me-up, according to new research. A morning cup of coffee may do more than just perk you up, according to new research. Moderate amounts of caffeine intake, about 3 cups of coffee or tea a day, were associated with a lower risk of developing cardiometabolic multimorbidity, said the study's lead author. Cardiometabolic multimorbidity, or CM, is the coexistence of at least 2 cardiometabolic diseases, such as coronary heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Researchers analyzed data from about 180,000 people in the UK Biobank, a large biomedical database and research resource that follows people long term. Those involved did not have CM at the outset. The information included the participants' self-reported caffeine consumption through coffee or black or green tea, and the CM they developed through their primary care data, hospital records, and death certificates. The risk was reduced by 48.1% if they had 3 cups a day, or 40.7% if they had 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine daily, compared with people who didn't drink or drank less than 1 cup. The methodology is strong and the results line up with existing data about caffeine and heart health, but there are still questions about the extent of the connection between caffeine and heart health. For example, perhaps those more likely to consume these substances also tend to have a healthier diet or to be more physically active. Although the new study should provide comfort to those who already have a coffee or tea habit, it isn't necessarily a sign to start a regular caffeine routine. I hope you're enjoying the lazy way, the smart way so far. Let's keep going so you can improve all areas of your English at the same time. Now we'll focus on vocabulary, but you won't just learn individual words, you'll learn full phrases that natives use daily. And you'll hear real-world clips of natives using this vocabulary. Your first phrase to sound like a native speaker, one you must start using. How's it going? How's it going?
How's it going?
If you've been following me for a while, and if you haven't, make sure you subscribe right now, you'll know that I teach all my students to use how's it going, because it will instantly make you sound like a native speaker. Of course, this is a replacement to how are you, and it's used in friendly professional situations and social contexts. Yes, you can still use this in professional situations, just make sure the atmosphere is more friendly. But to sound like a native speaker, you must pronounce it like a native speaker. You cannot say, how is it going? With spaces between. You must say, how's it going? How's it going? So notice those sounds. How's it? Zit. You have that strong z, zit. How's it going? How's it going? Repeat after me. How's it going? How's it going? Keep practicing that until you're pronouncing it just like me. Now, to answer, because you will be asked this by native speakers, to answer, you would say it's going plus adjective, or you can simply use the adjective. It's going. Notice that it's going. Make sure you get that contraction. Don't say it is going. That will not make you sound like a native speaker. It's going. Great, good, pretty good, not too bad, okay. Those are the most common options.
How's it going? How is Andy?
How's it going?
Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Number 2, do you have a sec? Do you have a sec?
Do you have a sec?
This is used to ask if someone can give you their attention for a short period of time, because sec is short for second. Do you have a second? Do you have a sec? Now make sure you pronounce that k. It's a K sound at the end. Sec. Repeat after me. Sec. Sec. Native speakers will often drop the auxiliary and the subject and simply say, have a sec. Instead of do you have, we simply say, have a sec. And more casually, informally, we use got instead of have. Got a sec? Got a sec? So you could come in, knock on my door, and say, hey Jennifer, do you have a sec? If I'm available for a short period of time, I can say, sure, what's up? Now you can also specify what you want to talk about in the question. Hi Jennifer, do you have a sec to talk about vacation requests? So the topic of discussion is vacation requests. So notice it's do you have a sec plus infinitive, to plus base verb. Common infinitives are to talk about, to discuss, to review, to go over. There are many other options, but those will get you started.
Hey, Jack. Do you have a sec?
Do you have a sec?
Number 3, what's up? Did you notice that I used what's up in the last example? Well, let's talk about what that means. This is a casual way to inquire about someone's needs or wants. In the last example, I said, hi Jennifer, do you have a sec? And then as a reply, sure, what's up? What's up? Now first, let's talk about the pronunciation. What's up? What's up? So notice it sounds like one word and you hear that S on what's and sup. We put it in front of up. What's up? Repeat after me. What's up? What's up? Work on that pronunciation because it's extremely important to sound like a native speaker. Let's review this example. What's up with Jacob? He seems really distracted. In this case, it's a casual way to inquire about the status of someone, usually based on that person's behavior. So Jacob seems distracted. I want to know why. What's the reason? What's the status of Jacob? What's up with Jacob? He seems really distracted. To reply, you could say, I'm not sure. Maybe he's under pressure. Or you could provide the reason, the status. His father's in the hospital. So that explains what's up with Jacob. You could also ask, what's up with the conference? Have the speakers been determined yet? In this case, it's a casual way to inquire about the status of something, the conference.
What's up with her?
What's up with Marshall?
What's up with Ichabod?
Number 4, I'm on it. This is a great expression and is used to accept responsibility for a task. For the pronunciation, notice how those sounds blend together. I'm on it. So you take the M and you put it on, and you take the N and you put it in front of it. I'm on it. Repeat after me. I'm on it. I'm on it. You can also drop the subject and verb and simply say on it. Make sure you get knit. On it. Repeat after me. On it. Excellent. Someone could and say, hey Jennifer, can you send out the meeting request? And I can reply back and say, on it. In this case, it's a response to a direct request. Someone asked me directly to do something. On it. Now, if you're in a meeting and the boss says, does anyone have time to send out the meeting request? You can volunteer to accept this task and say, on it. So you can use this as a reply to an open request. So if you like this lesson, make sure you share it with your friends. Now, to say that you accept this task that I just gave you, what can you say? On it, on it. So put that in the comments, on it, but then make sure you actually share this lesson with your friends.
I'm on it.
All right. I'm on it. I'm on it.
I'm on it.
Number 5, could you give me a hand? This is used to ask if someone can help you. Notice for that pronunciation, did you hear that j sound? Could you, could you, give me, give me, give me. Could you give me a hand? Repeat after me. Could you give me a hand? Could you give me a hand? Now this is a general request for help, so someone could reply back and say, sure, what's up? They're asking about your needs and wants. Sure, what's up? So the person can say, I need to bring these boxes to the garage. Now the other person can say, I'm on it, to accept your request for help. I'm on it. You can also specify the activity directly in the question and say, could you give me a hand with these boxes? So notice you use the preposition with and then you specify what help you need. You can also use this to offer someone help. I have 20 boxes to move and they're all really heavy. A very nice coworker could say, I can give you a hand, or I'm happy to give you a hand with that.
Give me a hand.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give me a hand.
Could you give me a hand out back?
Number 6, I can't make it. This is to say that you're not available to attend something or go somewhere. In this case, make it means attend or arrive. Now let's talk about the pronunciation. I can't. Notice we don't push out that T. I can't. Just don't push it out. I can't make it. The K sound is on the vowel. Kit. Make it. I can't make it. Repeat after me. I can't make it. I can't make it. Your coworkers could say to you, we're grabbing a bite after we move all the boxes. So they're casually inviting you to join them. And you can say, sorry, I can't make it. I have to pick up my kids. So you can't go, you can't attend. Or you could be on your way to a meeting, but there is an accident and you have to text your coworker and say, traffic is terrible. I'm not going to make the meeting. Start without me. So here, remember, we're just using the verb make instead of attend. Or you could say, I'll try my best to make it tonight. So it might be the party. I'll try my best to make the party. You could also say, I'll try my best to make it to the party.
I can't make it tonight.
Oh, I can make your party tomorrow.
Deb, I can't make it.
Number 7, it's up to you. This is to say that someone is responsible for making the decision. Notice that pronunciation, it's up to you. So we take it's sup, we use that S sound, it's sup ta instead of to, it's up to you. Repeat after me, it's up to you. It's up to you. So if you're planning to watch a movie tonight, you could say to your friend or partner, there are 3 new releases. Which one do you want to watch? And your partner can say, it's up to you. So you're responsible for deciding. It's common to add the reason why. For example, they all look good to me, so it's up to you. This is very commonly used if you give someone 2 choices. Do you want to take the highway or the scenic route? It's up to you. You are responsible for deciding. Again, you can provide the reason why. You're driving, so it's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
So what do you think? Did you enjoy the lazy way, the smart way? If you did, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And you can keep following the lazy way with this lesson right now.